Hello, everybody. It's Marcy from wavesofcommunication.com, and I'm here with a live video where I'm going to be taking questions if you have a question as well. So you can post your question at the end of the video. And for those of you watching on the replay, you might want to stick around to the end because sometimes the Q&A part is really interesting. So, for those of you who haven't met me before, my name is Marcy Melzer, and I'm an intuitive language facilitation consultant. And that means that I help parents teach their kids who are late talking how to move from the nonverbal communication that they all are using right now into the unprompted spoken language that parents want to hear and kids want to use. So, it's really a pretty easy job when I get the right combination of parent and child because most kids really want to talk and most parents really want their kids to start talking. And when everybody understands how the process works, that's when what some people are calling magic happens. I just think that it's language facilitation. That's when the process starts to work and your child starts to develop their language. Now, for those of you watching who were attracted by the title of this video, to help your child, help your strong willed late talking child shift their strong willed behavior into unprompted spoken language, this is the video for you. It is a very, very common thing for late talkers to be strong willed. And if you do have a strong willed late talking child, it's good news because that means that these kids are super smart, that they definitely have messages they want to communicate all day, every day, because they're doing it. Obviously, you wouldn't know what their will is if they weren't communicating it to you. So these are kids, strong willed kids, are very actively communicating their wants and needs every single day. That means they're in a learning mode. They're curious about getting into activities that they love or getting out of activities that they don't love. They certainly know that by this stage. And that's where their will comes from. They want more of what they love and less of what they don't. And they don't really care how that happens, but they're definitely going to communicate their preferences about these things. And that's where strong will comes from. Now, the reason that parents need to understand why your child is strong willed is because the reason behind the behavior is the most important information for anyone who is facilitating language. And any strong willed behavior is communication. All behavior is communication. So, when your child is showing strong willed behavior, I want it until I'll fight for it, or I don't want it and I'll fight for that, then you know that there is a strong motivation behind that message. Not only is it a message they want you to have, but they really strongly want to do it. The bigger the behavior, the bigger the message, the more important it is for your child to communicate it to you. That means, number one, the first thing that's going to help stop any kind of nagging, strong willed behavior that you see happening over and over and over and over again, understanding that that is a communication, that's kind of the nonverbal equivalent to nagging. And a strong willed child will nag you, saying the same, making the same nonverbal request, or communicating the same nonverbal message over and over and over again to you with the same behavior patterns. Okay. So, this is why, if you know your child is strong willed, you've been fighting about this. Your child has a message they've been wanting to communicate, and it's not the same message that you want to have in that moment. Because if your child was highly motivated about showing up to dinner on time and cleaning cleaning up their room and taking out the trash and helping you out, and they were highly motivated about those things and doing them without reservation with every ounce of their being, you wouldn't be complaining, right? You would be happy because your child was doing all of the things that they want to do, but they're matching the things that you want your child to be doing. Okay. So remember, if you're watching this video and you're concerned that you want to get the control back, that your child is number one, so smart and capable that they have learned how to take the control away from you. And that's a super important thing when a child is learning to talk and learning to do anything. It's a very high level cognitive thing. So, the first thing that you can do to help your strong willed late talker who is nagging you with the same message over and over and over again is flat out say the message they are communicating to you. Don't talk about why you can't meet that need. That's what usually parents do first. So let's use an example. I'll use one from one of the clients in my program. Her little guy is a young late talker. He's just around 2 years old and doesn't know a lot of language. He's just started language facilitation in the past month or so, and he loves hearing his mom talk. So he's shifted from doing a lot less paying attention to sounds to doing a lot more making noises of his own. And he's tried out some pretty creative screeching, yelling, and then there is the nonverbal nagging, yanking on the door, dragging parents. They'll nonverbally drag you over and over and over again to the same thing. Or take your hand and put it on that thing. That's a strong will, a child who must make you understand and comply with their message. They are enforcing their will onto you, physically trying to take your body to do their will. Strong will. That's what we're talking about here. And it's common for late talkers to have that strong will. And all language is communication. So the first thing your child wants when they are strongly communicating over and over messages, they want you to understand. So say it out loud. You want me. You want my attention right now, is the first thing maybe they're doing. If it's one of those mommy, 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 or dragging you like you're just trying to have a conversation or trying to watch TV or trying to eat or trying to do something else that you're trying to do, and your child is enforcing their will to take you away from what you're doing because they don't care about what you're doing. They just care about what they want. So they're going to come to you and drag you out of whatever you are doing and force you to do what they want right now. That is, if your child is not being paid attention to, if their situation, their need has not been met. That's the message they are communicating to you. I have a need. It's not been met. I'm trying to either get this need met on my own as I climb up the cabinets to get into the things I don't want, try to escape out the door to get outside, or whatever kind of stimulation I want right now. If you're not giving it to me right now, I am going to force my will onto you to make you change your mind. Change what you're focused on, change what you're doing to give up what you're doing and meet my need if I am forcing my will on you. And this is what your late talking, strong willed late talking child is doing for you. They are forcing their will on you. Now, number one, to help the situation right then and there, you say what it is. You want me. You want this. You want to go outside. You don't want to go outside. You don't want to wear your shoes. You don't want whatever. When you say it out loud, you will stop the behavior from happening. Don't move into the solution yet. You can't move into the solution yet. Most parents want a thing to stop, so they start throwing solutions at the problem. I'll let you out later. I'll do it later. You already had it. They start talking about the whys and hows. They can't meet that need. The child doesn't care. The strong-willed child is even fighting against. They know the rules. Okay? You have told them the rules. They're trying to buck the rules. They're trying to break them. Okay? And if your child is trying to break the rules and you just keep saying the rules over and over again, they will fight against them, depending on their level of motivation, right? And if you're watching this now and you know your child is strong-willed, because every child will put their will, but a strong-willed child feels a need to fight, okay? And why does this happen? Why does a child learn to have to fight for control? And it is always because at some point in the past, they have experienced this control being taken away from them. Something they wanted, they were told flat out, no, get over it. Okay? And were expected to get themselves together and get over it. No, you can't have it. Done. It's on the shelf. Get over it. Done. And whenever you have a child's will, strong will, weak will, whatever will they have, and you shut it down by saying no, that's all you got to do is say no. And you can have valid reasons. You can. You can have valid reasons for saying no to your child, but your child doesn't care about what they are. Not your strong-willed child. Your strong-willed child is strongly in their will. Rules or no rules. Okay. So, what's important for you to realize is, where is your child's mindset when they are forcing their will on you? Fighting. They're fighting against you controlling them. That's why it's happening. Okay. So, how does a child learn that they've got to fight for control when their control's been taken away in the past? Okay. So, the other thing that I want you to think about right now is, what have you done or has your child been exposed to? Doesn't even have to be you. Could be therapists, could be another parent, could be a sibling, could be bullied at school, could be any other reason your child would have felt oppressed. And I'm not talking about physically oppressed where they've had their needs withheld from them or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about here. I am talking about when your child's whatever they want, they can't have. Even if what they want is unreasonable, if they're told they can't have it, they will start to enforce their will. They'll fight against it because at the time, whatever time they were told they couldn't have it, they didn't understand why they had to lose it. And it could have happened once, it could have happened many times. But if it happened at all to your child where something was literally taken away from them or they were restricted from doing something they wanted, they're going to fight against you to get it back because they love it. They want it. They crave it. They might be even addicted to it. Okay? So they're going to fight for it. How do you do this? How do you get this situation? The first thing is you have to talk about the situation. I know you want a thing and that thing is not available right now. That's the first thing you must do is you talk about the problem because just throwing the solution isn't going to get you to solve the problem. Just understanding and talking and through the problem solving, because the other thing that's great about strong-willed kids is they are amazing problem solvers when they're given the right solution. But the reason they're so strong-willed and the reason that they're making you upset is because the behaviors they are using to solve their problem, which is get their thing that they want right now, the behaviors they are using, you don't like those behaviors. Right? And you don't want them to have that thing that they want over and over again because it's not good for them to have so much of it, or it's, not, they need more of it and they're not doing it, like washing their hair, right? Same thing. Kids can have as much strong will to be resistant from a thing as they can to get it, right? They will fight against something as hard as they will fight with it. Why does it happen? Because at one point that thing was available to them and then taken away, or they had to do it and they didn't like it and they were forced to do it. Okay. And they're going to fight against it. So when you do it, you talk about the problem. I know you do not like to do this thing. That's what you're telling me right now with your behavior. You do not like hair washing. Hair washing makes you afraid, and you have to say why. You don't like hair washing because the soap gets in your eyes sometimes. You don't like this because of this. You do like this because of this. You want to go outside because outside is where you feel free. Outside is where you can run. Outside is where you can experience sunshine. Outside is where you see your friends. Outside is where we play in water. Okay, because we don't play in water in our living room. We only play water outside, and you love playing water, so you always want to go outside. There's always a reason why your child wants to do this thing or not do this thing. And the first thing you have to do is talk about the problem, the why or the why not, before you can get any of this strong will to stop. And you teach your child how to compromise. That's what these strategies are for here, is to teach your child how to compromise. Now, listen, I'm going to take a really fast break. And I know there's a few people watching me, and I just want to let everybody know that there's something new on my channel. While you're watching me live, you have the opportunity to support me. I've never done this before, but now that I have 2,000 followers on my YouTube channel, which is a big deal for somebody like me who doesn't do daily videos and lots of stuff, to have somebody subscribe to my channel and follow me, I know that the kind of stuff that I do, these big old long videos with all this stuff, it's all kinds of information. And I know that you're wading through it and pulling out strategies and trying to help your kids. And most of you can't afford to work with me as a client. And I know some of you have bought my book, and I know some of you have used my independent study course, and some of you are my clients. And I appreciate all of you. I do. And I just want to let you know that there is another way for you to support me. If you are not able to afford to work with me and you love my videos and I am helping you, and liking these videos always helps me. Sharing them out with your friends or on your Facebook groups, though, that always helps me, of course, because I want to reach more people, and my mission to help is to help more people. But I also spend my time and effort to put these free videos out for people because I know that there's folks that can't afford to work with me and they need detailed strategies. And a way for you to help me right now is with what's called Super Chat. You can look in the comments section of this video right now, and there's a little $sign in a box. And you can click on there and you can pay me whatever you want. If I helped you today to solve a really big problem in your child's life, or maybe I've helped you on another video and I really helped you solve a big problem in your life. If you got a couple extra dollars, you can help support my channel this way by doing Super Chat. And I hope I didn't lose a lot of viewers this way, or I know it's weird to be asking for money after I've been doing this for free for so long. And I'm not asking for money. I'm just offering you the opportunity to support me, because it's always wonderful to get back energy when you give out energy. And part of the reason that I do these videos for free is I know it's good. I know they're good for you. I know they're good for the universe. And that's just your way to help out. So if you want to support the channel, you can go ahead and hit the little Super Chat button and contribute. And if not, just like the video, share it with your friends, keep coming back and watching more videos. All of those ways really help support my channel. And I really, really, really appreciate all of you. 2,000 subscribers for a little person like me who's just talking about language facilitation. It's not like it's gaming or videos or anything. I know there are parents all over the world following me and benefiting from these strategies. So all of your support is super, super gratitude. That's just kind of what I'm sharing with you now. All right. So let's get back into talking about strong-willed, late-talking kids and boundaries, So part of what I just did here on my video, kind of interesting how the universe gives me these messages, is talking about boundaries and what we are as a human working in a social construct of a family. What are we willing to do? How are we willing to compromise, to work together as a team of a family instead of more archetypal, I'm the boss, you do what I say kind of thing? So In a strong-willed, whenever you have a child who's in these fighting modes and you feel like you are fighting with your child because you're fighting for control. They're trying to get control, you're trying to fight for control, all of that stuff, right? Hi, Sujata. Thanks for reaching out and saying hi. When you are finding yourself fighting with your child, that's because there's always a lack of communication. When you think about when you're fighting with your spouse, if one is nagging the other one or one is ignoring the other one, which is what strong-willed late talkers do, there's always a reason behind that. And like I said, they may have experienced being ignored or being forced to do something that they didn't want to do. Either one of those things. They've been nagged, do this, do this, do this, do this, and they've learned that behavior works as a communication for other people because they did it to them. So if your child's been asked over and over and over and over to do something, expect they will use that over and over and over and over, nonverbal communication or verbal communication. They'll say the same word over and over again. They'll do the same behavior over and over again because they are just mirroring what has been projected onto them in language models. Okay? Your child is listening to everybody talking to them. What have they heard so far? If it's been a lot of directions and questions, then they may be resisting those things, resisting those questions. Nobody wants to be on a quiz show all day, every day. Nobody wants to be told what to do all day, every day. Some kids won't do anything if you don't tell them what to do all day, every day. That's where some parents think. And that's because those parents have not trained or taught their child to be functionally independent for these skills, right? So, strong-willed kids, they are breaking out of any kind of programming that anybody's trying to throw at them. They're turning it around and using those skills back on you. They're trying to manipulate you. They're trying to force you to do things, or they're trying to get away from you if you're trying to force them to do things. Just like if your child was trying to force you to give them a cookie by shoving you in the kitchen and taking your hand and putting it on the cookies to make you physically take the cookie jar and hand them a cookie, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to give them a cookie because they've already had 5 cookies, but they don't care. So they're fighting against you. Here's the problem, okay? The first step for the solution is you talk about the problem. I know you want a cookie. The other part of the problem is cookies are not available right now. That's the whole problem. Some parents stop with the second part. They don't talk about their problem. Because they remember the child's problem is not that they want a cookie. The child's problem is you won't give it to them, right? Your problem is you don't want to give it to them. That's the problem. So a lot of people are saying you want a cookie and that's not the problem. The problem is I know it's not cookie time and I know I want you to give it to me. That's the problem. Your child doesn't understand the structure, the expectation, the rules. Now, it usually happens that strong-willed kids get out of control, meaning they get out of your control and they start to take the control away from your household when they learn that certain behaviors work for them. Okay? They're only going to keep elevating strong-willed behavior if base level strong-willed behavior has worked for them in the past. So they might start by non-verbally negotiating, giving you a smile to get that extra cookie, and you caved and you gave them in one more, or just one more, or just one more, or just one more. The way you solve that problem is you establish the rule for the day of how many cookies are allowed in a 24-hour period. How much tablet time, how many outdoor times you go, how many, whatever. If it's something your child wants over and over and over again, and it's something that requires an access or something that you need for them to be limited, you have to let them know before the first ask happens, how many is the standard? How many is the limit? What is the limit to this behavior that you are willing to compromise with? Because it's not like you're never going to give your child outdoors or tablet time or a cookie, but only so many a day. You make the rule, right? And then when you make a rule, if you want to be in control, you got to hold to the rule, right? You got to hold to the rule. And yes, that's going to make your child mad. But first step is you have to make the rules. Because then when the problem happens and the rule gets broken, then you know what to do. Because every rule, if you break a rule, there are consequences, right? Now, they don't have to be punishment consequences, but they are consequences. When you don't get what you want, you get disappointment. That's still something you got. As a language facilitator parent, you got to use it. So here's how it works. The child wants something they can't have. You know this is a pattern in your child. This is a thing they have wanted a lot of. They have moved you through levels of, we can do this occasionally, wow, this was fun, to the point where it's not fun anymore for you. Because it's too much, it's too many, it's out of your control. Okay? So when it gets beyond your control, you got to have a meeting. You got to have a regroup. You got to have a get together to talk about what are the rules of this situation. And the rules are, we go outside 2 times every day. Once in the morning when it's cool, and once at night when it's cool. In the day, there's no outside time. In the day, we fill that time with these other things, because you can't just say no, deal with it, because no, deal with it turns into, maybe I can get them to compromise. Maybe I can squeeze in a third one. Maybe I can do whatever. And they will pull out their behavior to try to negotiate. They will anyway, even when you make the rules. That's why you have to make the rules and you explain the rules. You can't just say, dictator style, 30 minutes of tablet time, deal with it. You have to help your child accept the new rules. You can't just be dictator. You have to let them accept them and negotiate these rules. Because when you don't force your child to do things or withhold things without explanation, when you explain the whole part to them, then they learn how to use these negotiation skills, compromise later on. Okay, but there has to be an established boundary and rule for you to deal with, a baseline, an acceptable norm. But if one day 5 cookies was okay and the other day, no, I'm going to hold out for 2 cookies and deal with it, that's not fair to your child. They don't understand the rules. And if the rules are variable, your child will push it. They'll fight. That's a weakness. A weakness in you is a lack of boundaries. When you're fighting, you look for the weakness in the boundary to get your ammunition in and get your will enforced on the other person. When you're in fight mode, that's how it goes. Your lack of boundaries and organization offers a weakness to you that your child will use to get what they want and enforce their will on you, right? That's why we, not me, but back in the past, there was philosophies and people still use it. They strap a kid into a chair. You keep them right there. You got to stay right here and work right here so that you learn that this is the place that I am going to put my will on you and make you work right here, learning now on my schedule, my stuff, my way. If that has been your child's experience, a lot of times, little kids, they learn quick that they're going to be just like you. Just like you. And outside of that therapy thing, if they have been forced to do or sit or whatever, they think that's okay behavior because it was okay for those people to do it to them. So they think, and in fact, they are taught that this behavior is not only okay, but the accepted way to talk to people when you are working with them. When you want them to understand something, the way that they have been spoken to is the way that they will choose to speak because that's all they get. They're little kids. They don't understand language, especially if their processing is slow. They're only going to get what they get. And what they get is what they hear. And what they say is what they hear. So if you're fighting with your child, they will fight back because that's what they see. And if you teach your child to compromise, they will start to compromise with you. They will accept the compromise because they don't want the disappointment. They want the compromise. They want to feel good now. That's all they care, right? And if they think a cookie is going to make them feel good, and you know that a cookie isn't what they need, but maybe they need attention, but maybe they need another kind of food, but maybe they need something else to fill their time. If you don't want them to have this thing outside, it's up to you to provide an alternative that is going to meet the same need. Because no child needs to go outside 10 times a day. No child needs to go outside when it's 100 degrees. You know, it's not necessary. And there are alternatives you can do. But if your child is fighting with you, then there is no room for compromise. So here's what you need to do. As your child is trying to fight with you, you talk about the problem. This is a problem. You want to go and it's too hot, and I'm not willing to go right now. And this is a problem. And I know that you are sad about this problem. But right now, I have to be the boss. And what I can give you to help you with your disappointment about not going out right now is hugs, a game inside, a special treat. Let's make ice pops. Let's dance and listen to music. Let's do something else because you know what your child wants out there. And you need to try to find a way to provide them a similar experience inside your house if you don't want to go. Because your child's need's not going away. And they learned how to meet that need themselves by exploring that environment. They don't know there is an alternative because they're a little kid. They need you to show them what the alternative is, and the alternative must match what they were looking for. If they were looking for food because they're hungry, you've got to feed them. But if they're looking for food because they're bored and they know every time they climb up the cabinet, you will stop working on your computer and go in the kitchen and chase after them, that's an attention-seeking behavior. But if you're too busy working on your computer or watching your video or playing with your other child or doing whatever, and you're not seeing what that is, and it happens a lot of times, then your child's going to do it over and over, and it's going to get louder, and it's going to get bigger, and it's going to get more attractive to get you away. Because remember, a strong-willed child, they don't care what you're doing, what your attention's on, what your whatever is. Their need comes first, always. And if you give an inch, they'll take a mile because their need comes first. They don't care about these rules. You need to enforce rules, but you enforce rules with compromise and not dictator, because if you force from a dictator, you're going to get a dictator back. But if you compromise with your child, then you compromise back. They learn how to compromise. They learn to accept because they can deal with their choice is sit here, be disappointed, cry by myself, or allow my parent to comfort me and transition me into a new activity. That's their choice when you offer them a choice. And every child is going to choose to be comforted if the comforting comes in their way. And you let them know that you are interested in meeting their need. So you talk about their need. right? You talk about the problem. You want this and I can't give it to you. And that is a problem and that is a bummer. And let's get over the bummer right now because I know you're going to be disappointed about this. And it's no fun to be disappointed, but mommies are here and daddies are here and we can do hugs and we can do things. And what do you do when your child is disappointed? You don't have to feed them or give them treats or whatever. You just have a nice, fun experience with them that you can. Something that you know your child wants to do. And when you set up your boundaries, your situation, inside the boundaries is an alternative choice that your child's like, oh, all right, no cookie? This is actually a better option. Thank you for presenting me with this better option. Now that I'm calm and I can pay attention to you, we can discuss this and why it's not a good idea to go outside because it's just too hot and mommy's gonna be sick. And explain it. Take the time to explain. If your child is old enough, strong willed enough, to fight with you to get their will, they also understand enough language for you to explain the compromise of why they can't have it in that moment, right in that moment, because they're going to ask in that moment. And if you haven't established the boundaries yet and they go to ask, it's a good time to have a regroup and a meeting. And then when you wake up the next morning, if this is a thing, going out, eating cookies, watching videos, whatever it is that your child wants to do more of, and they wake up thinking about, I want to do that right now, the first thing you talk about when you wake up is that thing. The first thing you talk about because your child is thinking about it. If they want to wake up and go outside, the first thing you say is good morning. I know it's going to be a great day outside today. And you let them know when they will go and you let them know what you have to do before you go there. And they're going to want to rush you and they're going to want to hurry you, but you got to keep them happy at your pace. I know we're going, and remind your child that you're going. Because remember, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet in the car? This is what happens in your house between the time they wake up thinking they want to go outside and they actually get there. And it could be hours later. It could be hours later before they get to go out. You know, especially if you just come in the morning and they're not going to get to go out until sundown, you know? It's a long time. Oh no, I want to go out. I want to go out. I keep thinking about wanting to go out. Wow, you keep thinking about outside because you really like when we played with water. Guess what? We're going to take an extra shower today and go in the bathroom and take an extra shower. You know, I know you want to go out because you want to see your friends. We're going to do some pretend play. I know you want to go out because you want to run around and move. You've got to have gross motor activity inside your house. If you don't have a trampoline or tunnel or, you know, cushions on your couch you can put on the floor and jump on or something like that, then, you know, fall and crash and do wheelbarrows and all kinds of physical movement, dancing inside your house while it's hot or cold if you're in Australia. You know, if it gets to be that time of year where going out's not very good and your kiddos really want to, you know, you have to learn what else can replace that stuff. And you talk about it from the very beginning. Here's what we do. First, I know you want this thing. Here's when we'll get this thing. This is how we're going to get there. And while you're waiting, you remind them, only a little bit more time. After we do this activity and this activity, we'll get to go outside. And remind your child how nice it is to do these alternative activities indoors. Isn't this fun when we take an extra shower in the day? I love that we baked bread or made a cake or ice pops in the freezer, you know, whatever, okay? These new activities have to be as attractive or more attractive than what your child wants. And honestly, just explaining the fact that they can't have it now and that you understand that they want it and that I know and it's sad and they have feelings and it's a bummer for them, helping them to overcome their disappointment, then they don't have to have the consequence of disappointment. They forget it. That's the great thing about little kids. When they get disappointed, if you give them something to replace that disappointment with, they move on immediately. They don't hold grudges unless it's consistent and persistent, or one particular person has a trauma towards them. They'll hold a grudge then, but not against parents. Never against parents. They love you. They love you more than anything. They can be mad at you sometimes, just like you can be mad at your kids sometimes. And that's where this fighting comes into play. I lost control of this situation. Your child's thinking that too. I lost control of this situation and I want to get my gumption and fight. And you feel like that too. I lost control of this situation. I want to get my gumption and fight. Fighting only gets fighting. Compromise gets compromise. So stop for a second. If you see your child if they're in the middle of nag mode, if they're doing the thing over and over again, if they've elevated their behaviors, that's what'll happen too. You'll say no enough times that they'll be like, now she can't say no to this. And it'll be screeching or who knows what kind of behavior. They don't like hearing no. So you provide them with yeses, lots and lots of yes opportunities ahead of the time so that you don't have to say no. You have to say, I know you want to go outside today, and instead of going out because it's too hot, we've got this and this and this we're going to do. And so we don't even have to think about going outside because this and this and this are better and more fun and happy, and you like them and they're nice. And wow, we never get to do these things. They're new and exciting, right? Whenever your child is bored, they're going to go back to what they want. And if you don't want them to have that thing, you're going to always fight about it. And that's where strong-willed comes from, okay? That's where it comes from. So I hope this was explained. I kind of tend to be all over the place. Thanks you so much for everybody watching. I don't see any questions. If this is your last chance, if you have a question for me today about something else, go ahead and put it in the comments right now. And I just want to remind everybody of all the ways that you can get help from my platform, wavesofcommunication.com. You can start with videos here on YouTube. There's a playlist called Get Started with Language Facilitation here. In there's a lot of the beginning stages things. If you want to know the whole process, you can look at my book. It's called If It Isn't Fun, It Isn't Fun. Teach Your Child to Talk Faster Than Speech Therapy. And you can get it on Amazon or Audible on audiobook, so you can read the book and learn the whole process. And now listen, in the process, there's stuff you got to do. It's not just strategies like this where you just suddenly start compromising with your child. There is an entire process to learn how to reach your child wherever they are in their zone and use their nonverbal communication to teach them to say the words they want to say themselves, because natural language comes from your heart. The stuff that we program kids to say, this is your nose, these are glasses, this is your right hand, this is your left hand, memorization stuff, that just fills up the file cabinets. Language facilitation teaches your child to access those language bits, those vocabulary, those sentences, those functional situations that they watch you and listen to you talking. They use those things to turn into spoken language, their spoken language, and it's all gonna be good. So the book link is in the description, Julia, so you can just scroll down. If you click that little down arrow, like go to the edge and click the little down arrow, and you click there, there's the first link is for my book on Amazon. You can click it right there. And it's available all over the world, wherever you have Amazon. People in India and all over the world are buying it. So, yep, that's how you can do it. And then if you want to know more details, I have an independent study course. The book is the first part to show you how to reach your child where they are in their zone and teach them how to move their nonverbal communication into spoken language in the book. That goes through that. And it's real inexpensive. The Kindle's version's only $9.99. And then the independent study course goes in detail. It teaches you how to do video analysis, how to keep a language facilitation journal so that you keep track through your whole process and you understand all the different kinds of language that you're facilitating. It shows you how to make your plan and create your boundaries and structure through your whole day. It shows you how to change change the habits, how to identify all the habits that you have that are blocking the process and your child has, their mindset blocks, like when they get strong willed and they start fighting with you, how to move through this and other communication blocks that have been programmed through whatever history you've had. Doesn't matter what's happened so far. You use the abilities that your child has, the skills that they have going on, the attention, the focus, the listening, the trying to say words, the interest in movement, whatever they have that's working great, visual attention, whatever they have that's working great for you, you use those abilities, and I call them superpowers, to teach your child to expand their spoken language. Because when you learn what your child is focused on, like I said, they're going to be focused on getting my need met, getting my need met. They're not listening to you say the words, I want cookie. They're waiting to just get the cookie. They just want to know, I want to taste that sweet cookie in my mouth. They're thinking about the end game. They're not thinking about this step by step by step by step. And when parents talk about the step by step by step by step, you're not getting in to where your child is in their resonance zone, in what they're thinking about. And it's like want, almost wasting your breath when you start to nag. So if your child is nagging you and you feel like you want to nag back, that's the other thing that happens. Remember, your children develop these strong-willed behaviors because they were at some point had a strong-willed sort of teaching method or parenting style that came at them. They started to do that just like your parent, like, if you're a strong-willed mommy or daddy, and your child's going to be strong-willed back. If they've had very strong-willed therapists, they will fight back against those therapists. And you'll see, even if both of your in your parent couple, one parent has a very strong-willed energy and the other person is more passive, with you, your child will communicate, use the strong-willed behavior with the strong-willed parent, and the more passive and they'll try to bully even another parent that won't, like, is too resistant. And that's one of the things. Actually, I got an email this week, a very cryptic kind of email, very interesting, where somebody said the title, the subject of the email was Making Brats. And the person said, it was an anonymous thing that somebody said, your method is teaching children to become brats. And because I teach parents to intuitively respond to what a child is communicating. And that's where obviously that person is not understanding the difference between when you have a strong-willed late talker and you fight with them versus having a strong-willed late talker and you teach them how to compromise. Because when you teach them how to compromise, you can develop a child who will listen and learn from you and everyone. But if you force a child into obedience or compliance, where I think that email was indicating, like you're training people to teach kids to be brats, because I tell parents to not force children to do things. And if you believe that you must force your child to do anything, it doesn't matter what it is, you should never have to force your child to do anything. You should be able to get them to compromise. Even if your child is not physiologically able to do something, let's say your child has trouble walking and you need to help them walking, you're not going to fight with your child while you're helping them. You want them to allow you to help them. And a late talking child who is strong-willed is not allowing you to help them. They're fighting against you, right? And that's why I tell every parent of a strong-willed late talker, your last bit of advice, the first thing you do is, again, have a little meeting with them and let them know that you don't want to fight, that you are learning, you're reading books, you're watching videos, you're watching Miss Marcy on TV, or you're working with her. That's what I tell my parents to do. You tell your strong-willed late talking child that you know they want their thing. You know that they want to use words. You know that they desperately want to communicate this exact thing, because they're nagging you over and over again, and they obviously want you to know. So you tell them that you know they are trying, you know that talking is hard, and that you are learning as a mom or dad, you are learning how to help your child. You're watching videos on YouTube from this lady in America who's, telling people how to teach their kids to talk. That's what you're doing. And tell your child that you want to help them, that you don't want to fight with them, that you want your time together to be happy every day, because don't you? I mean, isn't that what you want anyway? Everybody wants their time every single day to be happy. And you have to set that intention. Right now is the new moon. Today is the new moon. Actually, it's going on almost right as this video is airing live. We're getting ready for the new moon. And the new moon is a time to set intention with your child. Let them know you want them to try to talk better, and you want to help them, and you want to provide them with the language models that they need to help them talk better. And you know that you can do it because you want to and you're learning. And if you don't know how, then you got to learn. And you can with the resources in my book, in my independent study course, on my videos on YouTube. And if you don't want to filter through 300 videos on your own, then you can learn to work with me as a client. And you can visit wavesofcommunication.com to learn to work with me. And I will literally hold your hand through the whole process. I've got parents who send me videos every single day. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? Is this right? And I give them little tweaks and I give them little suggestions, and they improve every single day. And their kids are talking. Their kids are talking. They were late talking, and now they're talking. And these parents are riding through these negotiations, all of those things. So let's see. Banu says, hi, Banu. I'm following your videos, and I can find my child has improved in verbal communication. Yay, Banu. That's wonderful. That is wonderful. I can hear others saying he started speaking too. That's great. And he's interested very much in learning new words. That means, Banu, that you have found the zone with your child. You learned how to connect with him and figure out how to explain exactly what's going on, and what your child is trying to communicate. And so that's why your child wants to listen to you more and say more words, so that like you said, he's interested in learning new words. And that's what you need, really. Every parent, when you get your child interested and motivated to listen and learn when you're talking to them, then language will develop. That's all they need. All kids need is language to develop. So one more chance, if you're interested in supporting this channel, you can use the super chat function now in the comments. So one more chance, if you're interested in supporting this channel, you can use the super chat function now in the comments section. Just go to the comments section and look down there. There's a little rectangle with a $sign in it. You can just hit that and donate to the channel to support my channel. If I've helped you, I really, really appreciate that. So all right, Julia says, how to make a late talker understand my question about sickness. Example where you feel not comfortable in your body. So yeah, if your child is, you maybe had a bellyache or an earache or something like that, usually parents tend to know that their kids are not feeling well because of a change in their behavior. They'll lay on the couch more, they'll be more quiet more, if they're way nonverbal. If they've got a few limited skills, I don't know how old your child is, Julia, but if they're like holding their stomach or ear or things like that, then that's obviously a little bit more of an easier, way for them to non-verbally tell you exactly what's going on. But sometimes parents can't know at all. It depends on like the physiological illness. And it also depends on your child's experience with that illness. So if ear infections are chronic in a child, they may just learn to deal with pain. Same thing with gut issues, visual issues, tongue tie issues. Kids will learn to just deal with their symptoms if they're chronic. So parents only see differences in their regular behavior patterns when there's a flare up. But that is the trick. Whenever you see a change in the patterns of your child's behavior, they start to do something they didn't used to do, or they stop doing something that they always do, then you always know something's triggered that change and you need to find out what it is. So if you do understand the physiological issue, then the best way to talk about that is number one, we always talk about the problem. You have pain. Your child could just be doing things like chewing on stuff and you don't realize it's their ears that are hurting, but they're doing other behaviors. So that's why you got to do investigation and find out why. So if you understand what the physiological thing is when you do your investigation, your intuition, your holistic, take them to the doctor, figure out what is wrong, then you talk about what is wrong. Your head is hurting, your ears are hurting, there's ouchies in your ears, it hurts your face right here, that probably hurts your neck and your neck is really sore. If you see those behaviors, you talk about the symptoms your child is demonstrating with their body. Talk about the symptoms and the cause of the symptoms. Wow, your headache because you got too hot. You're too excited because you ate too much sugar. You blah, 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 blah. The why about the why. Just like I talked about why your child is late talking, you talk about why they are sick. What happened to cause this unwell feeling? They ate something, they did something, something happened to them, a germ got in their body, something happened to cause the change. Talk about what happened to cause the change, and then you talk about specifically with detail what you're going to do to make your child feel better. So I know you have a headache because you were out in the hot sun and you need to eat more salty things and drink water. Or you fell down and hurt your knee and it's bleeding and that's making you very sad. So we have to clean it up because it's ouchy when you hurt your knee. And oh, there's dirt in there too. Wow, this is going to be a big job. And it might even hurt a little bit, but I'm going to be super gentle and I'm going to help you explain. We have to go to the doctor to get the ears checked. We have to take medicine if we get infections. All those things that you have to do as far as the sickness, your jobs, because a lot of parents will sort of treat the kids when they get sick like a China doll. And they talk about what's going on with their child with everybody except their child. Look at my child, doctor. Tell me what's going on with my child. Instead of getting with your child and understanding those symptoms, talking with your child about their symptoms. That's the best way to, help a child who's not feeling well and learn how to use language for it. And they can be strong willed in their, they can show more strong willed behavior when they're not well, because they're fighting against you, forcing them to do something that they don't feel well enough to do. It's not a nice experience for them to try this thing. And, sometimes taking medicine that you have to take is not a nice experience. And your child could be strong willed and fight against taking medicine. In order to get that to happen, you have to let your child know. I always recommend don't sneak that stuff. If your child is strong willed enough to know to resist against you because it tastes bad, you have to try to find a way to get your child to deal with the fact that they have to taste something that tastes bad for a minute. And right after they taste it, you're going to give them this thing that's going to taste good. And I know it's not a very good idea, doesn't seem like a nice thing, but the doctor told us this medicine's going to make you feel better. You have to explain if you want your child to compromise and give in to either do the thing or not do the thing, wash their hair, take medication, stay inside, not eat 5 cookies. If you want to change in this behavior that your child is fighting, they have to understand why they are willing to compromise. And kids will always be willing to compromise when you tell them you need help. Like, I can't do it. I need you to help me understand we don't have this many cookies. Or it's too hot for me. And mommy will not feel good. And mommy will feel sad about that if I have to go outside. If your child's hitting you and hurting you and that kind of stuff, that they're doing that, you have to let them know, I understand that you are upset. I understand that you are upset. And if you need to burn off energy, you can do this thing or hit this pillow or jump on the trampoline or whatever. But mommy's not going to let you hit me. I'm putting up my boundaries. I'm not going to let this happen. Sorry. I know you're sad, but you can't wreck my house. You can't hurt me. You can't hit your brother. You can't throw things. You can't climb the cabinets. I know you want 5 cookies, but you can't climb the cabinets. There is a boundary. There's a boundary. And that's how it goes. All right, let's see. Banu says, my kid is choosy in learning. Most kids are. He learns numbers easily, he repeats them all the time, but when I start the alphabets, he doesn't listen and then moves on. So I'm finding new ways to learn alphabets. Any ideas? You can use all kinds of ideas about teaching your child about alphabets. But if your child is late talking and if your child is having conversation about their everyday life, then you can work on teaching things like colors and numbers. But if your child is late talking and you're trying to teach them academics, you're creating a strong-willed child. You're creating one who's going to fight against you. Because this kind of thing of, I'm trying to get my kid to learn and my kid doesn't want to do, that creates fighting. Okay? So you have to think about, what are your priorities? If you want unspoken conversational language, or you want memorized ABCs and numbers, what do you want from your child? What kind of output do you want to get? If you want answers to every single question, then keep asking questions and teaching answers and memorization, and that's what you're going to get. Answers to questions, directions followed, items labeled, pictures, words said, scripted phrases repeated. That's what you'll get. You get what you teach. If you teach your child to understand, why are we talking about numbers? What's so interesting about this? And why is your attention as a parent on how many facts does my child know? That's when you fall into the mindset trap of comparing your child to other kids. My child's this age, my child has this disease, my child has this situation, my child can do this, my child can't do that, right? And what are you looking for? What do you want from your child? If you want alphabets, memorization alphabets. If your child loves to learn numbers, they probably memorize those things and they like them. If you want them to use those numbers functionally, then you have to find language facilitation strategies, natural strategies to talk about numbers and why you use numbers. Right? I have some parents that use numbers as an attraction. Like one of my moms, her little girl loves numbers, and every day they take a walk, and part of their walk is looking at the numbers on the mailboxes. Love mailboxes because every mailbox has a number and every number is different. They're a little bit the same because they both start with 11 and the last 2 numbers are different. It's 1121 and it's 1125 and it's 11 whatever, right? And her kid's all excited. It's 1121. 1121 is coming. And her mom talks about what color the mailbox is and whose house that mailbox is. 1121 is Mrs. Smith's house. Mrs. Smith has that dog. She's nice. She has a doggy, and 1121. And she's like, 1121, Mrs. Smith. Yep, you're right. It expanded that child's love of numbers into functional language about what was attractive about the numbers, turns into real functional language that you would talk about on a walk. Here's this person's house. They have that. That's what you notice, right? That's what you remember. So instead of teaching your child lists of words or facts or concepts or these kinds of things, that's a speech therapy way to go about language. And you teach one little skill at a time, and then you test it, and you passed the test and you move on. But that's not going to get you unprompted spoken language. It's not going to get it. You're only going to get that if you use functional situations to teach language, not these structured times. Times like your child wants to go out 5 times a day and you want to teach your child how to go out and come back in. There's a language facilitation tool that I challenge everybody to teach your ABA person. How are you going to teach my child to go outside, play on the playground, and come inside on their own without fighting? That's how you use the strategies I gave you today. Because if you teach your child how a nice outside play experience works, this is what we do before we go. This is how we prepare to go out. This is how we're safe when we're outdoors and we explore and we get to do the things we have. This is how we finish our play outdoors and we clean up and we get ready. And this is our way to transition to get inside. And when your child understands that that's how it goes and that the reward for doing how it goes, following the routine of that situation, the boundaries, the structure that you have, they can enjoy the playground as much as they want. And the times that are not playground time, you can remind them we have a structured playground time scheduled at 2 p.m., 5 p.m., 3 p.m., 9 a.m., whenever you have it scheduled. And it's going to be great fun when we get to go out. And you can even talk about going outside when it's not time to go outside and relive that language about it and talk about it's going to be great when we get to go outside. Or yesterday when we went outside, it was great. And why and how? Because these are the things that your child is thinking about. Not when they say out, 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 they're thinking why and how and with who and where and how long will they? And is mom going to drag me in this time? Or do they have to pick me up? Or am I going to scream? Or are there going to be other kids? All that stuff is going on in there. They're super smart, especially a strong willed, late talking child. And just because it's not coming out in words, you're seeing it in behavior. And a smart language facilitator parent will use that behavior to teach your child. That's how it goes. All right. I think that's it. I'm over an hour today in Q&A. Thank you for joining me today, Sujata and Julia and Banu. Thank you for your questions and all of you who are listening to me live and those of you watching on the replay. Remember, you can learn how to work with me and get the whole strategy step by step, talk you through everything, critique your videos, learn how to do all that in my Waves of Communication lifetime parent coaching program. And you can access that. I am giving a $1,000 scholarship right now to everybody who's signing up. So you can get the whole lifetime program for one investment of $3,000. And yeah, you can get in now for lifetime and get all the strategies you need. Just visit wavesofcommunication.com and book a call with me and you'll learn more. And I'll see you all on my next video, which will be over live on YouTube or on live on Facebook on Thursdays, 2 p.m., live on YouTube, noon every Thursday. Have a wonderful full moon, new moon. Oh my goodness, all the communications mixed up today. New moon today. Set your intentions that this is the month that you're going to see a shift in your child and in yourself. You're going to become a language facilitator and you're going to get your kiddo talking, just like Banu said. You know, she's following my videos. She's not working with me. I don't know if you have the book or not, but you know, it's working. It's working for families all over the world. So it's just up to you to start getting the strategies going in your home. So I'm wishing you all the best on your language facilitation journey, and I will see you all on my next video. Bye for now.